Hi, Jessica here, Yoga for Everybody, representing Zen Active Sports. I'm here back in my studio to show you guys one of my favorite balancing poses, the dancer pose. So let's go ahead and join together in a standing position, and I'll show you how to safely transition into and out of this fabulous balancing pose. From a standing position, let's first of all, as usual, check in with our alignment. So, checking in with the joints, of course, making sure that the shoulders are down, away from the ears, the hips are squared so the back is flat. Okay, we're engaging the core muscles. We are lining up the knees with the ankles. Okay, and then the knees are hip-width apart. So, the feet then will also be hip-width apart. You may want to take those toes and spread them nice and wide like fingers on the mat so we can press those feet evenly into the mat, distributing the weight between the front, the back, the inside, and the outside of the feet. Keeping in a little bend in the knees or a deep bend if we're feeling any strain in the hamstrings today. We'll also think about pushing down into the mat with the bottoms of the feet, while at the same time reaching up towards the sky with the crown of the head. A little smile on the face, of course, always helps to relieve tension, opening the airway, and then, of course, allowing us to focus our awareness on the rhythm and the quality of the breath. You can keep those arms gently rested by your side, or if you want to activate the arms and the hands, we can spread the fingers nice and wide, palms facing out. Okay. Reaching down and away from the body, just to help activate the upper body a little more in this pose. And of course, we'll take a few resting breaths until we feel ready to try the dancer pose. So when we're ready to move on, we may want to turn sideways on the mat, especially if we have access to empty wall space, because we may want to put one hand on the wall for support here. Especially if we're just beginning this pose, it can be quite challenging. Okay, with that said, let's go ahead and practice a modified version first to slowly work our way into the pose. So, what we'll do is, we'll first transition the weight to one side of the body. So, maybe it's the right side or the left, you can choose. And then we'll step one foot slightly back. Okay, so actually coming up onto the balls of the foot, so we're really transitioning the weight onto the front foot so we can slowly lift that back foot. Okay, again at your own pace, moving nice and slowly. Then we can grab the ankle with the corresponding hand. So if you're bending that left knee, you'll grab a hold of the left ankle with the left hand. And then if that feels good and you want to try transitioning further into the pose, we can hinge forward right at the hip, drawing the upper body parallel to the floor. We can keep one hand on the wall for support. We could keep that hand on the hip, or we could try reaching the arms straight forward. Little bend or deep bend in that bottom leg to take pressure off that sensitive knee joint. And then if we're feeling especially strong and flexible today, we can try pushing and reaching that back leg up, so widening the angle of the bent knee. After a couple of breaths here, we can come out of the pose by slowly bringing the upper body up and the knee down, dropping the foot, and then shaking it out before we try it on the other side. So when we're ready to try it on the other side, we'll do the same thing, but maybe we'll want to use a prop to help modify the pose even more. Okay, you'll notice that one side of the body is going to be more flexible and or more balanced than the other. So maybe try it with a strap, or if you don't have a strap, you can use a long scarf or a tie, anything that you can grab a hold of with one hand and loop around the bottom with the other hand. Okay, so we're looping it around the ankle. So if we're not ready to bend the knee enough so that we can grab a hold of the ankle with the hand, we'll use a strap instead. So we're not having to bend the knee quite as much. Okay, so maybe that's a nice option for those of us who are new to the practice of this pose, or maybe you have a knee injury or sensitivity of some kind. And then if we want to keep the strap, we can keep the strap in place while we hinge forward into the dancer. Okay? Again, making it so that we don't have to bend that knee quite so much. And then again, with the other arm, we can either keep it on the wall for support, we can rest it on the hip, or we can reach the arm straight forward. Whatever feels better for you today. Of course, noticing the differences between the practice of this pose on the right side and the left. As I said before, you're going to notice that you're going to be more balanced and or stronger and or more flexible on one side of the body than the other. And that's perfectly normal. But it's good for us to pay attention to those differences to build more body awareness, kinesthetic awareness, with the overall intention of preventing injury and staying safe in our practice, especially in these challenging balancing poses. So thanks for practicing the dancer pose with me here on Zen Active Sports, where I present a new video every week, focusing on beginner level poses, but every once in a while I'll throw in a challenge. Hopefully, however, you'll find a modification option to all the poses that helps you enjoy the practice of all the poses of yoga, regardless of your experience, flexibility level, or strength. So thanks again for practicing with me. Stay tuned for more tips and videos every week at www.zenactivesports.com. Namaste.